Boom, there we are.
Hooray!
Hooray, we've made it. We've made it at last. It's been years, Steve. It's
It
been years.
has.
It's been,
It's been a very long time.
we're old men now.
Ha! We are now. Is there something? There appears to be something strange at the top of my picture there. Oh, I see. You fixed that. And now the angle of my thing working.
Um, only your doctor can help you with that.
Here we go.
Yeah.
We're back.
We're back like two fools that you find in a thunderstorm and which you think have been lost forever, but they end up just knocking on your door, complaining about being hungry and cold and stuff, and you sent them away, and you think they've gone forever, but no, they're back and saying, oh, my ankle's broken, oh, I need medical attention.
Yeah. And then so you toss them out the back door, and then when you spin around, they've snuck into your laundry.
Oh, man, don't you hate it? But like those two strange people, here we are again.
Here we are. I'm wearing my Brisbane Lions top. Can you see it?
Yay! Go Lions!
Yay! Woo! I went to the football tonight. So.
Oh, hence why you just came home. How'd it go?
It was very good, except
did the Lions win?
The Lions did win. Hang on, it's not there. There we go. There's the Brisbane Lions.
Yay!
But they did win, although I had a very interesting event. Well, this shall be my first anecdote of the story.
But before we get on to the anecdote, I think it's important to ask the big age-old question: what beer is that, Steve?
Well, funny you should ask, Alex, because the beer I have today is a very special beer. It's not just any beer; it is, in fact, jug beer.
Does it have triple X across it or something? No, craft beer.
It has craft. It should have triple X across it. I have jug beer. So the local bottle-o where I live sells these things, and you bring them along, and they fill it. So this, I think,
Steve, you win. You win. This is the best. This is the best beer that you've had. I don't care what it tastes like anymore. We're gonna have a taste test anyway, but you win. You win. This is your best one ever.
All right, so I'm gonna open it up. Listen to the hiss. Oh, there it goes. There's the hiss. So now the thing is, of course, Alex, one of the things about keeping beer in a jug is that it's going to go flat. So you might have to bear with me while I finish this half jug of beer. So here we go. So what I have in my cold little bottle.
Your cold little bottle.
Yes, which is not a medical term or a euphemism. It is, in fact,
literally a cold little bottle. Yeah.
It's true. What I have here is, I believe it's from Stone and Wood, who are a fairly large Australian brewery, most known for their pale ale. This is their Helios, I think. And as we can see, it has a very dark sort of color there. I'm going to. Oh, what's happened to my? Oh no, that's fine.
No, that was me. I just wanted to be in control of something for a bit. Anyway.
Fair enough. So yes, it looks kind of like dirty dishwater.
Yeah, it does.
Let's see if it tastes like it. Okay, are we ready?
So this is craft ale. So we'll.
Yes, this is a. I believe this is also actually this is an Indian pale ale by Stone and Wood, called Helios.
By the way, remember a few weeks ago, you taught me that IPA meant Indian Pale Ale, and I thought it meant some sort of independent Pale Ale or something like that. I'm not the only one who thought that, turns out.
Oh, really?
So it's more common than... I feel a little bit less silly. Anyway, how are we going with that?
Excellent. Look, it's quite nice actually. It's very yeasty in the sense that it's got a very strong taste. I'm not sure, even alcohol content aside, I can actually finish this half a jug in one sitting.
Well, maybe not tonight, no, but
no, I think
it's
my
well
taste
worth
buds
having.
will leave my mouth and smack me in the face if I drink too much of this. But this is a very pleasant 1 pint beer. That's what it's called.
Ah, pleasant 1 pint beer. Basically, you can take it on for 1 pint, but after that, no, I'm good. I'm fine.
Yeah. And just to prove that is the case, when I finish this, I'm going to have a second pint.
Just to say how much you just are going to avoid taking 2 pints. You are going to drink 2 pints.
Well, yes, just to show it, and then because I believe in the scientific method, I'll have to have the third pint, just so we know that it wasn't a fluke.
Yeah, of course. Is there enough for 3 pints? And it looks like there's enough for 2 pints in there, and that's it.
No, it might be it. Yeah, maybe 2.5.
Well, I believe in you, Steve. I believe that you can take on that delightful bottle, which leaves us neatly over to your first anecdote, which is you went to the Brisbane Lions.
Yes, thank you.
And the Brisbane Lions won.
We did, but this is actually merely the backdrop to my story. I've had a very busy day today. I went bushwalking with a friend of mine and his wife, and they lived near the football ground. So went back to their place.
Oh, yeah. Hey, you mentioned this. I mean, wow, you went bushwalking, and as a suburban / city man, how'd you go?
Actually, it went quite well. It was very fun. My friend is much more, and his wife are much more outdoorsy than I am. Which, let's be honest, your average garden snail is more outdoorsy than I am. So.
Yeah. When I said how'd you go as a city, I'm not implying that you're unfit. I'm just saying that we don't.
That's also.
Oh, I would never think that.
Not out loud, anyway. But no, actually, it was very pleasant. It was my decision. I just desperately wanted to get out of the city, so we went up this bushwalk, and we went up a mountain actually. And the point is that I came home. I saw the lovely scenery. I only fell down once, and then on the way home, get to the point of the story.
On the way home?
Called into my friend's place, and I think I left my keys there.
Well, that happens.
And my keys allowed me to get into my house.
Yes, that
is
true.
I went to the football. I went back to the car, which was parked at my friend's house. Couldn't get into the car. And also realized I can't get into my house. So I think this is a problem.
Yes.
Where am I going to sleep?
Yeah.
My first thought, obviously, was how am I going to do the podcast? My second thought was, how am I going to sleep? So I did what any sensible, man in his late 30s would do. I called mum and dad.
Ah, yes.
And I called my parents and I said, Mum, Dad, can you come pick me up and can I stay with you tonight? And my father, the understanding man that he is, first thing he said was, why didn't you tell us earlier?
Well,
I was just like, it's 11:15 on a Saturday night, and I've called you out of the blue to request transport and a place to sleep. And your first assumption is that I must have planned this morning and neglected to tell you?
Yeah.
That's it. But there you have it.
Well, as parents, you're supposed to just try and educate somehow. Even if there's nothing to educate, you think, well, this clearly has to be his fault somehow. How can I, as a father, teach him a lesson?
Yes, it is my fault. There's no doubt about that. But it's the assumption that this
That
is somehow some sort of
you've thought
grand
about
plan
this.
that I
Yeah, you've thought about this all day.
decided. Yeah, I decided. Oh, it's 11 o'clock at night. I think I'll just call my parents and ask them to pick me up and stay with them.
Sure.
That's the thing.
I was planning to lose my keys. I was
Yeah,
planning
well,
to lock myself out. I was planning to have the complete inability to move anywhere, you know. And, you know, my parents will understand. No, that's not how it happened.
Yeah. No, that's not how it happens. I would have thought, if my son ever calls me in the middle of the night and says, "Dad, can you come pick me up and can I stay with you?" my first assumption is going to be that something has gone wrong, not that something has gone right and he's just neglected to tell me about it.
You never know. That might be all parents' first inhibition. They would say, "Oh, here's my son being silly again. Ho ho ho." Maybe, I don't know. We will see in about 10 years when your son calls you up. We'll see if your first thoughts are, actually, no. All right, let me take that back. In 30 years' time, in 30 years' time, when he, you know, doesn't spontaneously do this sort of thing, we'll see what your first reaction will be. I'm going to write that down, Steve. I will test that. I will, hopefully this particular episode will still be on YouTube, and I will say, "Haha, you were complaining to your son. Well, let me wind you back 30 years. Have a look at this episode." Yes,
there we go.
We learn a lot about ourselves and our parents. By the way, you might know, this is off subject, but I'm holding this mug here.
I've finished with that subject, so let's move on.
Good.
Yes.
This is one of my new delightful merchandising things. Merchandising. So if you would like to buy this mug, you can at my website.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, and you know what? So it's pretty cool. I like this design, hence why I actually bought it. So, yeah.
I must quite clarify. When you say that I buy that, you mean that precise mug that you are holding? Are you just selling random mugs that you have lying around your house?
Yes, I printed this mug personally. I've only made one, and if you want to buy it, sure. I will sign it for you. Sure, why not?
Will it have tea in it?
I don't drink tea. I drink coffee. But if you want me to make you a cup of tea and then sign it for you and then give you this mug, if you just want some tea, I'll get you some tea. That's fine. It'll take a while, but I'm here for you. Anyway, no, you can buy it at my Redbubble page, which is on my website. So have a look if you desire that.
Do you want to tell us about the design, Alex? What was going through your head? This is your anti-illustration.
Yeah, this is one of my anti-illustration things. More importantly, you can buy the book in which this is based upon down in Amazon. Yes, this is what is that? Cinematic Plans to Change the World. And I asked a mate of mine to list all of her favorite movies, and all the movies are surrounded by basically surround this cat skull that I drew. It's like a scientific illustration, but with movie titles instead, for a bit of absurdity. But here's the problem with that: it doesn't quite work as a. It works as a mug because it looks pretty, it looks cool, but you can't really read very well the actual labels. It is a high resolution image. I know what I'm doing. I'm a graphic designer. I sent them a high res image, but I guess it doesn't translate very well onto mugs, I suppose.
Well, but I have some. Sorry.
Worth a good shot, and it's still a good mug, so I'm still promoting it.
Very cool, very good. I have some questions for you about anti-illustration.
Oh yeah, okay.
Excellent. Okay. So I think we currently have an audience of 0. So
Yeah, sure.
whatever. Um, the anti-illustration. This is a style that you have been working with. That's right, isn't it?
Yeah, it is for a while.
And the basic idea, if I recall, is that where illustration is, of course, where the picture obviously matches the words.
Yeah.
What you have is you have a pairing of words and pictures which appear in conflict. That's the idea.
That's the idea that I've been doing for a while. Yep.
Okay. So let me ask, what is it that? Well, I suppose. Are you trying to communicate something via this medium? What is it about anti-illustration that makes you want to keep using it?
Well, if I was trying to communicate anything, this is the worst way to do it. It's not the entire point to have no point, or when you do fine art, but there are better ways to communicate ideas, so therefore, no, it's. Why am I doing it? What's the point? What is basically the question here?
Okay, well, here's a better question. What is drawing you to it? You obviously really like it. Why? Is it is there something about the medium?
I am a designer in the end, and the whole. So it's, to an extent, it's also a release to do the exact opposite of what design is supposed to do. It's kind of like, if you take the rules of design and illustration, and you've been doing that for a long time for clients, for your work, and a lot of the time for myself, I do book illustration as well. So every now and then I kind of feel like I want to do the exact opposite of that, as like a complete release of to say, yeah, screw all the rules. I'm just, even though there's no reason for it, I don't make that much money off this sort of stuff, but I feel like I kind of want to do it. It's not important. It's not what it's not that constructive, but I don't know. There's something about it that makes me go, yeah, okay, that's kind of funny.
Can I tell you what I quite like about illustration? I've seen a number of.
Yeah.
And there's some which I have particularly liked. And for me, what it is I feel there's often I feel that the words bring out something in the image and vice versa, which you wouldn't normally see.
Well, that's a fair point. That's a fair point. Getting something completely different out of what is almost a completely bland object. By the way, I'm not the only one who does this. I'm not the only one who does some sort of postmodern perspective upon words and art. One of my favorite contemporary artists, he fills the entire background of his works with just words that are off the top of his head. And oh wait, I told you about the book that he wrote. That's right.
Oh, you did. Yeah.
Sean Landers. So Sean Landers, if you can just imagine his actual handwritten words like that, completely surrounding his paintings, and in the middle, his painting is just something that's completely different as to what he's talking about. So I'm not doing anything original with this. I never have been, but it's something that I feel like I had to do, which leads me to my first anecdote. Steve.
I think the mug was your first anecdote.
Well, no, the mug is something I just wanted to point out because I was drinking out of it. I just thought, let's talk about the mug. And then you said, no, let's talk about your art. And I say, no, let's talk about the fact that I walked to London for a wine marathon.
Walked to London for a wine marathon? That's pretty cool. What does this involve exactly?
It means me walking to London and drinking wine along the way. Just going to pubs for hydration and powering up my phone and stuff and wine. And I'm glad I did it because it means I never have to do it again. I
Was it?
and for those keeping track at home, it's 13 miles or 20 kilometers. I went, and I didn't do it like an actual jog. No, I took my time. Google said it would take 3.5 hours. It did not take 3.5 hours. It took 6.5 hours.
Is this because you kept stopping at pubs on the way?
Maybe. I'm happy. I'm happy that I did that. I'm happy that I stopped at all the pubs along the way. It was great. I stopped at 6 pubs, and yeah,
Wow.
I documented it. It's a video on the YouTube channel, so you can watch my struggles and or fun and or just saying, yeah, I had to do it. Why did I do it? Work smarter, not harder, right? It's just something I felt like I needed to do. Well, not even needed to do, I just wanted to do. I'm not going to be one of those people that says, man, I need to do this. I got to do it for me. I got to do it for me, for my family. No, I didn't need to do it. That's the point. The whole point is that I don't need to do it. I can just take a cab or a train, something. The whole point of me doing it is because I don't need to do it.
Oh, that's hilarious. Oh dear.
But I've
And,
always wanted to do that because every time I go to Swanley, I can see Canary Wharf in just off the horizon. I go, ooh, that means it's in walking distance. It's not.
It's just like being in Skyrim, isn't it? You see something in the
Yeah, you can see
I
something.
can walk there.
Yeah, but unfortunately, there's no swift travel or whatever it's called.
But on the upside, though, you didn't have to fight any ogres.
No, I didn't. I only had to fight dehydration. And actually, no, dehydration was never a problem because I could always.
Sounds like you had that taken.
I had that under control. So
Here we go.
Yeah, that was my delightful, wonderful, pointless journey into London.
It's quite cool. I suppose people do forget that it is actually possible to walk that sort of distance.
Yeah, well, I had to think about it, and it seems like, man, it's the same distance of between Wynnum to Brisbane, which is where I used to live.
Right.
So it's about the same distance, just with less sun.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a guy who does that every day, right? Do you know about that guy?
No.
Yeah, if you take a car between Brisbane City and Wynnum, one of these and you do it every single day. You'll eventually see this guy. And I used to see this guy. I mean, that was 10 years ago. Last time I checked, he's still there apparently though. So he does it every single day. And while I just wanted to do it as just to see if I could do it, he does it for endurance or something like that.
Okay.
And I kind of admire that, but at the same time, okay, you could put that effort into something more constructive, I guess. That would also be good. So, yay. Anyway, I want to ask, you're playing Cyberpunk 2020.
I am, and I'm enjoying it now. People are talking a lot about Cyberpunk 2077. Have you heard of this?
Is this the Keanu Reeves thing?
Yes.
Yes.
That's the one.
This is the one where everyone started to say how much of a god he is now?
Yes. That's
Your face! Your face!
Not actually talking about Keanu Reeves.
Wow, I could feel the eye roll. That was a powerful eye roll.
I just saw it. Sorry, I just come back to that. Yeah, that was quite an eye roll.
Yeah. All right. I tell you
Okay.
what. Let's ask about Cyberpunk 2020.
Okay, well, Cyberpunk 2077 is a computer role-playing game, in fact, based on Cyberpunk 2020.
Ooh.
Yes. I used to play this in high school, and earlier this year, I suddenly realised, hang on, this dystopic world of 2020 is like in 6 months' time.
Ah, yes, that's right.
So maybe we should like play it. So I have been playing it, and it's so cool. The thing I love about this, bring it a little closer, I just love how 80s the future will look.
Oh yeah. Them's the rules.
Yeah, it's
There's something very 80s about the phrase cyberpunk.
very much so, and it's all yes, it's sort of this is what's going to be happening next year, people.
Ah, right. So people are gonna get ripped apart and
lots of
dystopian.
Look, I can tell you what's going to happen is there's going to be a whole lot of cybernetics, and the internet is going to be virtual reality.
Oh yeah.
And
is Batman going to recruit some mutants or something like that? Is that what's going to happen?
Something like that. Yeah, and we're not going to have mobile phones.
Oh right, we're not going to. Oh, right, they're all going to just disappear in 6 months.
That's right, because they'll be replaced with our virtual reality.
Ah, yes. Well, look, we do have virtual reality now.
We do. I mean, we had it in the 80s too, and amazingly, it seems that the technology hasn't changed that. But the thing I love about the internet, because they actually have the internet in this future. And
I thought this was a. By the way, sorry to just stop you there, but I thought this was a computer game, but it's a role playing game.
No, it is a pen and paper role playing game. Oh, okay. I've got to show you this. You ready? Let me find it. Let me find the picture. This is what computer hacking will look like next year. You see that?
So, okay, so. All right, Netrunners. Okay.
Yes, that's what it's going to look like with the plugged into the head and no typing. It's running through the internet.
So okay, so you plug yourself into the internet and run up to. As long as you have stamina, you can run to the other computer that control this. You know what? I think.
Yes.
Forget all of these remakes and stuff that I want to see a 1980s cyberpunk movie done now.
Yes.
And have all of that,
would be fantastic.
It would be it would be called Punkers 1999.
Yeah, so, something like that.
As soon as you say the word, the year, you get the joke. So you don't need to explain it. Say, no. So it would have all of these delightful things. And phones would be just these big, bulky things at the same time, I'm going to get my mobile phone, my futuristic mobile phone.
Or it'd be like, I don't know, like imagine... beyond 2000.
Yes.
What's that? 2000 AD was that comic series.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
In the future. Ooh.
I mean, they had that gag back in Harvey Birdman, didn't they?
They did.
He had the Jetsons that came along, and we come from the far off year of 2002. I mean, that's beautiful.
Yes, 2000. He looked at the calendar. It's 2007.
Yeah.
All right.
Beautiful. Where's this? Ooh, I can sort that.
I'm enjoying Cyberpunk very much. It's very 80s view. It's something I'm finding a bit interesting about it. So dial back on the laugh track because we are two smart arts, right? We have
Oh,
to
right.
find
We have to.
deeper things in these things.
Oh, yeah,
Right?
yeah. No, that's understandable. Yes, we have to be
What
respectful.
I find remarkable is when I'm reading through this book, it talks about out of control corporations and it talks about all of these things which are highly political topics.
Yes.
Like, for example, it goes on about how, like, in this utopia, this is written in the 19, in this, mad future where everybody fights. It's so bad that America completely failed to pass any gun control.
Mm.
And it's like, and it wasn't a political book. Like, it was schlock, teen, pen and paper RPG, and it was
Sure.
writing. And it was like it wasn't political in the 80s to suggest that a dystopia would involve no gun control.
It was just something that we thought, oh, this will be a terrible thing. Let's not discuss this. Remember the days in which you didn't need to discuss whether the phrase "send her back" was racist? Remember those days?
Yes, they were like 2 weeks ago, I'm sure. And then somebody said it that a lot of people liked, and then look, I have a personal saying, Alex. I probably said
Go on.
it to you before. The human capacity for self-deception is limitless.
Yeah.
Absolutely limitless. People can convince themselves of anything. It's breathtaking to watch cognitive dissonance in flight.
If your hero looked at you straight in the eye and said, "The sky is green," you'd find some way. Well, okay, not particularly you, but I think there'll be a lot of people. There'll be a lot of people who'd be able to say, "All right, let's discuss this. Let's discuss whether well, it's not quite blue. I mean, it is sort of a cyan, which is closer on the scale on the hue scale towards green rather than say purple. So yeah, you could say, and a particular point of view, especially when it's next to ultramarine blue, that you could say that the sky is green. You could make an argument about that. It's a stupid argument, but it's an argument, and people will go to their deaths by defending it if their hero says it.
I know. It's that. I mean, that's just people. And I think, to be fair, you said not me personally. No, I don't think this is a trait. I don't think that this is a trait of stupid people or what have you. I think it is a human trait. I probably will do it. I'm sure I do it.
Yeah, that's a fair thing.
I don't see it because you don't see your own illogicality. It all makes sense to you. So I do think it's important to remember that all of us want to do this, and the best you can ever do is try, is be guard to try and tax yourself out, because your brain will lie to you and it will make you want to do it.
And hence why we have religion. Anyway, before we head on to the next subject, what's your final thoughts on this delightful game? It was fun. It was fun to play, you said.
Look, it was fun to play. I've been playing it recently for the pen and paper. It's actually very good to play a game with extremely lethal combat. Because one of the things that's weird in Dungeons and Dragons, somebody swings a broadsword at your head, and you lose 6 hit points.
Yeah.
and then you swing back, and I'm like, no. It was like, why are you alive? Well, that's because I'm level 80. I don't care.
Yeah. Your ability to acquire
Yes.
armor
Okay.
is equal to the actual armor that you could
Yes.
physically pick up and put on you.
Right. I'm very sorry, but like if I stab Conor McGregor, he dies. Okay, it doesn't matter how many fights he's won, he dies. That's how it works. Anyway, Cyberpunk
Beautiful.
has a very good system for for that. It doesn't. It
Oh,
doesn't
good.
fall into.
Oh, that
So,
makes me feel very interested in playing it. Then,
so that
if
was
it has
cool.
that.
And I suppose, okay, my parting thought is it was one. It is interesting to note how pop has so radically shifted over the past 30 years.
Yeah, that's a
40
fair
years.
comment. Yeah.
And I forgot what point two was.
Point two, it was a good game mechanic, as you pointed out.
I think. Oh no! Point two was this: the way that they thought the internet would back then really doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense.
No.
I'm going to describe this very briefly. The way the internet. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you. You're good. You're good.
The way that they thought the internet would work back then is that you'd put on your VR goggles, or actually you'd plug your brain in to the computer. And let's say there is a file of a cat falling over, which someone has told you is very funny and you should see it. And rather than pull out their smartphone and go, hey, check out this cat falling over, you go, all right, one moment. And you get open your laptop, and then you pull out a cord from your laptop and you plug it into your brain, and you will be in the internet where you physically are.
Right. So you have to. So does that mean you go to like a movie theater and no, it was some sort of a video filing system, and you pick up a virtual video and you plug it into a virtual VCR and watch it on a virtual television? Is that basically how you work?
Not quite. What happens is wherever the person uploaded the video. So let's cat fell over in Beijing.
Okay.
Okay. You would then. So I'm in Brisbane. I plug my brain in, and I'm in the internet in Brisbane.
Oh, I see where this is going now.
Go to Beijing and walk up to the house of the people who put the cat video up and watch the video. And then I will come back and I'll pull my brain, pull the cord out, and that was a very funny cat video.
We are laughing, true, but I mean, we could only imagine back then what. I mean, I suppose at the time, I'm not saying it's what they were expecting us to be like at this present time. But science fiction and fantasy can be interchangeable a lot of the time. It can be. Unless you're trying to be plausible, in which case the fun kind of goes. I like this sort of terrible cyberpunk world that you're describing. I really like it because it's basically the phrase is speculative fiction is the umbrella term for science fiction and fantasy. And I like that. That's basically saying, yes, this is science fiction. We don't need to try and be plausible here. Let's just make a fantasy world and say, everything, weird fantasy-based objects. Let's just say it's because of the future, I've got no problem with that. That sounds fun. So, yeah. And when the internet was just starting out, it kind of felt like you physically had to walk to Beijing to watch a cat video because the internet was really, really bad.
Yeah, that's true. So yes.
I remember when when you were to pull up images, it just line at a time. Oh, what a beautiful noise that was! Oh, what a glorious, glorious noise. We've just got. I'm just thinking about anecdotes to tell right now because a lot of stuff has happened. I will say, just before I went to my holiday, on which I had to work, unfortunately. The ceiling of the office at work collapsed, which was not fun. I said to my boss a week prior, that ceiling is leaking and it's bulging a lot. That's going to fall down. And I came into the office one day and said, that ceiling just fell down. So thank Christ we had a landlord who actually said, oh shit, sorry about that, and got it fixed up, although now it looks terrible. So yay. But here's an interesting story. I am avoiding telling everyone who this person is because I'm going to make him seem. I'm going to say some things. It's going to sound like he's the bad guy, but he's not. But it sounds funny. The first thing that I thought was, okay, this building is 40, 50 years old, something like that. My first words are asbestos. I'm going to talk to him about this. So I said, hello, landlord. Asbestos? ? And he said, that's a fair question, right? Because when we were pulling off the ceiling, bits of it started to fall on my head, and I thought, this is potentially bad. He said, no, that's not asbestos. It was asbestos, but it's not anymore. So,
is that because it fell on your head?
I thought, all right, I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to ask a follow-up question about that. What do you mean by... Well, I took the asbestos. It was an asbestos roof, and I replaced it with a non-asbestos roof. So it's all okay now. I said, all right, you know what, fine. That basically means you're being responsible. I've got no problem with that. Cool, all right. He said, no, do not worry, this bit's not asbestos. That bit over there, that bit's asbestos. But it's okay, because that's just first of all, stay away from it. That's very easy. And also, that's the white asbestos. That's not as bad as like the blue asbestos you can also get. And I thought, this sort of goes back to an episode of Black Books, where the landlord's on the phone and he says, yeah, well, there's good asbestos and there's bad asbestos. I thought, okay, sure. But hey, asbestos did not fall on my head, so yay me.
Good. Yay you.
Yeah.
We are.
So
all right.
What shall we talk about now, Steve?
Well, let's see. I would like to talk about... Okay, I'll give you the choice, friend Alex.
Yes.
3 things. One of them is that I saw 2 plays recently, which are about Indigenous.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I'll talk about that one, shall I?
Yes, go on.
All right. So, there we go. I wasn't sure if I should... No, you can talk and distract us as much as you like.
Absolutely.
We enjoy... Yes. We enjoy being distracted. That's why we do this show.
Yeah, hello.
Yes. Anyway, all right. So I saw 2 plays recently. The first is Barbara...
Oh, hang on. Just wanted to say thank you to Anna Eilzil. They're hosting me now, so thank you.
Oh, very cool.
We might get a few extra... Anyway, what's the first play called?
Okay, the first play was called Barbara and the
what, sorry?
Camp Dogs.
Barbara and the Camp Dogs. All right.
Yes. And I thought it was a very, very... And it was about, Australian Indigenous issue. But what the plot was about, a woman called Barbara and her sister, character name now escapes me, and they had this band called Barbara and the Camp Dog. And the thing which I thought was very clever about it was that it talked about a whole lot of, hot button Indigenous issues, but it did it in a way that I felt showed some of the complexity of it. So, for example,
Yeah, things are not black and white.
yeah, it's perhaps a poor choice, but yeah. So one of the scenes in it I thought was just was the epitomized how good it's. Barbara goes back to see her goes back to her hometown to try and see her mother. Wives. Anyway, the point was, so what happened? Goes back, see him deathbed, doesn't make it, has a massive fight with her sister because her sister is angry that she wasn't there. And so she's really upset, walks out of the, so she walks out of the hospital. She's extremely upset. She's just had this big fight and she's other Indigenous people drinking in the park. And she walks up to them and she says, "Can I drink with you?" And they say, "Yeah, sure." And they explained, and she says, "I'm really upset." And they say, "Why?" And they explain what happened. And they're very, go, "Oh, that's sad. This is really, really upsetting." Anyway, drinking in public is illegal in Australia, is it possible?
It's not.
And eventually sorry?
It's not quite illegal in the UK. There are rules about it, though.
Oh, right. Okay. Well,
and
you can't sit around.
In America, they've got a weird rule, which is you can drink in public provided that you don't show the label. Hence the brown paper bag.
Weird.
That's the weirdest rule.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so what happens is, so the cops turn up and they go, "All right, people," and these people are, by this point, "All right, everyone, you got to move on." And
no arrests or anything. They just say, "Right, just move on."
Yeah, I think it was something like that. Yeah, you've got to move on. And one of the women who's there starts giving a mouthful to the police.
Yep.
And the police go to arrest her. And this woman, Barbara, who is, seeing them arresting this elderly, going to arrest this elderly woman, gives this, doubles down and gives all of it, lots of perspective to the policeman.
A lot of what? Logic, did you say?
Invective. She doubles down. So
sure.
She, like they move to the old sort of, start saying, no, you really need to, so it looks like they're going to, but, they're sort of still doing the threatening thing. But she doubles down and saying, "Hey, back off her. She's she's an elderly woman. You're sort of screaming abusive." So the police go, "All right, lady, you're coming with us." And so they grab her and shove her in the back of the van. And actually, I just realised I've got the story slightly confused. Her mother is not dead. Her mother is dying, and she's very upset by it.
Gotcha.
So the police grab her and shove her in the back of the paddy wagon. And she goes, No, you can't put me in the back of a paddy wagon. My mother's dying. And the police just sort of go, "Yeah, right, whatever." Pull the other one. Shove her in the back of the paddy wagon, and they take her phone off her and start screaming and trying to attack the police, going, No, I want my phone back. I need the phone because my mother is on her deathbed. And they, of course, don't believe her. Shove her in the back of the paddy wagon. She spends the night in jail. Is released the next day, and of course, her mother dies while she's in jail.
Yep, saw that
coming.
And
I thought that's genius because it really sort of shows the complexity. In a sense, the police were being dicks, but in a sense, she also didn't help herself. She walked into the situation. I thought this is from an audience perspective, you watch that scene unfold.
Yeah, you're on
And
her side, basically. You
I
are.
was on her side, but at the same time, it wasn't that the police were just being racist pricks.
Yeah.
If somebody if somebody abuses a police officer, I'm sorry, they're probably going to wind up chucked in a paddy wagon. And if they start
they don't
screaming,
necessarily. Well, yeah, they don't necessarily deserve that, but
it's going to happen.
It's going to happen. It's terrible. It's terrible.
And then if they start screaming, no, you can't arrest me, my mother is dying, the police are not going to believe. Like, it's not it's an extremely convenient thing to say. So
yeah, true.
And the thing is, so I was, you're watching this tragedy unfold, and it made me as an audience member think, this is really, really sad.
Yeah.
We need to find a solution. We need to find a way that this does not happen. And that was what I really liked about Buffy.
Nice.
To City of Gold.
So that was Barbara and the Camp Dogs, which set up a really, really good argument saying things are not black and white. This is how it is not in black and white. This is how. But
well, I think what it was saying was that the problem is complex in that you could understand. I could understand why the police did that. It made sense.
It's not right, but you get it.
Yeah, I got it. And to be fair to the cop, arrest screaming, you can't arrest me. My mum's in hospital. You'd be like, yeah, whatever.
I think it's odd that her phone was taken away.
I think they usually. I think they usually do that. They when you arrest somebody, you take possession of them. To be honest, it was a little while back, for sure. But at the time, it didn't strike me as odd that when she was arrested, this is what happened. Certainly, when you go into the cells back at the police station.
So this other play that you saw was not as good.
Almost exactly the same thing, right?
Yep.
In fact, I was watching the second play going, wow, there's a whole lot of similarity here. But this is the way it panned out. The second play is, again, parental figure has died. They're all very upset, but they go out drinking afterwards, and there's three of them. One of them is drunk. No, not a troublemaker. One of them is very drunk, and he is deaf. And he starts peeing on the street. Peeing on the street. And the cops come up. Yeah, but it is also illegal.
Yes, it technically is illegal. We as men tend to do that, but it is illegal.
It is. So the cops turn up, and they go, point to this guy who's, peeing on a street and go, what are you doing? And his sober friend goes, hey, look, he's deaf. He can't hear you. And the police go, shut up. You shut up. Don't talk to us. Stay out of the way. And they go, no. And the turner's going to start screaming, turn around. And truly deaf. He cannot hear you. So they go, shut up. So then they walk up and they put the baton around the guy who's peeing's neck. And then they start choking him to death, basically. And the other guy goes, no, this is crazy. He tries to intervene. So they pull out their gun and shoot him dead. And the thing is, I was looking at that scene, and I don't practice and I don't see this, but I was like, that does not look even slightly believable.
No, the first one, the way you've described it, it sounds like the first one's believable and the second one is not.
No, it's really not. It's like Australian police do not shoot people very often. Extremely rare. And, when they were choking this bloke with the baton, like they've got him clearly, he's doing shaking legs and he's passing out. I'm like,
What's this other one
what?
called? What's it
It
called?
was called City of Gold.
City of Gold.
Yeah, because it was set in Kalgoorlie, which was gold mining town. But I just thought it was interesting to compare the two and go, well, you both basically both. So if you do a search for City of Gold, Queensland Theatre.
Yep, I've got it.
Yeah, there it is, and you'll find it. But it's just, yeah, that's the one. And it's just you're both basically doing the same thing, but one of you did it well, and the other one of you didn't. So
yeah, it's just the belief. It's the suspension of disbelief. You can do a fantasy film, provided that you establish the rules that allow the suspension of disbelief to just go forth, and you go, yeah. Okay, I get it. That is important. So, well, that's a disappointment, but it's good that you saw both of them and realize what good theatre and bad theatre can be, or at the very least, a good argument is. You recognize a good argument when you see it.
Tell you what, it is interesting, I suppose, in that you see, Indigenous theatre is, of course, not. Well, I say Indigenous. I guess I'll get to. Indigenous theatre is not the most common type theatre that is shown.
Sure.
But yet, I saw two Indigenous theatre plays, one after the other. And then when I saw the second one and the cops walked on while somebody was peeing, actually somebody started peeing on the street, and I was like, let the cops turn up. And then they turned up, and I'm like, oh God, it's
you know what's going to happen.
Yes, I wasn't expecting anyone to be shot because that's ridiculous. But,
do you think it would? Here's an interesting question, and it's unfair for me to give this comparison. I will directly limelight myself and say this is an unfair comparison, but I'm going to do a comparison anyway. Do you think it would be more believable if they were African Americans rather than Aboriginals, and this was set in Los Angeles?
You see, I would say my immediate react, yes, but my reaction to that is because American police shoot people.
Yes, they do. That's the difference.
Australia, there have probably been zero, because every time somebody is shot by a police officer, it's front page news. I don't think there's been anyone shot by a police officer all year, and much less shot and killed by a police officer.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if there's been one. I think it's been a damn long time. Whereas in the States, it seems to happen
like every
day.
To
be fair to the American, and to be fair to the American police, your average American citizen is far more likely to be armed.
Sure.
So
I'm not going. Yeah. I don't think you'd be armed if you have your dick in your hands, though, and having a piss.
No.
But
no.
Fair point.
All right. Sorry. Last thing I'm going to say about this play, actually, and then I'll
go on.
Off the list. When I saw it, there was a scene at the beginning of the second act where basically the main character walked and just ranted at the audience for about 5 minutes about how racist Australia is, and then walked off.
Oh, all right.
They actually had an almost identical scene in Barbara and the Camp Dogs, but it was worked into the plot.
Ah, all right.
Here it wasn't. It was literally just the person walks on, rants about racism, and then walks off, and then the plot picks up and continues where it left off. And it was very strange. And as I walked out of the theatre, and I was a friend of mine, and I said, what did you think of the play? and he said, "Oh, I loved that rant." He
All
didn't
right.
call it a rant, of course. He said, "I loved that
The monologue.
act." Really? And he went, "Yeah. As a partially, as a part Chinese man, I know exactly what he's talking." And it was two things immediately struck me. First, just because you agree with somebody's political opinion doesn't make it good theatre. Like, there was no sort of engagement with the fact of, did seem to come out of nowhere, um, and didn't advance the story and didn't seem to fit anything, but like it wasn't, okay, all right. But no, and he didn't say he liked it because, it said anything interesting. It was just, I agreed with him. I thought, well, I get that, but that's a weak sort of thing.
But
and secondly,
monologues
comes,
come out of nowhere to a lot of things, though, don't they?
Well, normally, no, they fit.
Yeah.
Like they take part of the story, and
Yeah.
that, like, it's. And Barbara and the Camp Dogs, what happens is, like, she had a very similar rant, but the character was complaining to somebody else about, how hard, how hard it was, basically, in Australia. And I think the other character wasn't even on stage, but it fit within the play. But this was just bluntly breaking the fourth wall in a play that was not breaking the fourth, where that hadn't.
It was, yeah. It comes out of nowhere. It's like having a drama and then a documentary style thing just pops in out of nowhere.
It would be like watching American History X, right? And there's a African American character who starts talking about race, who, not in a conversation, just sort of walks into shot. There's no other characters there. Then turns the camera and delivers a monologue directly to the audience about how bad racism is in America.
So it turned into a TED Talk, is what you're saying?
Yes. Actually, that's exactly it. It turned into a TED Talk, and like,
which is not bad in itself, but maybe it doesn't belong in a. I don't know.
Yeah, well, or if it didn't match this. But
and we're not disagreeing about what the person's saying either. I'm guessing.
I didn't.
No, it's just your argument is it doesn't fit that particular form of theatre.
You're right. It's like, I can't. Like this up until now, this has been a play, but now it's a talk. All right, whatever.
I have seen experimental bits of theatre like this a lot of the time, and sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. So I'm gonna say, yeah, worth a shot, I guess, personally.
Well,
but
it's true.
From how you described it, it didn't really work. But also from how you described it, I think it was worth giving it a go. How about that?
Yeah, I suppose that's fair enough. I mean, yeah, I'm not. Yeah, actually, yes, I will agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. There we go.
But
so the second comment was.
Oh, what was the second comment?
Well, the thing I found odd about it is that this guy was going on about. He said, as a partially Chinese person, I really agreed with him, and I thought the struggles of a Chinese person in Australia is not the struggles of an Indigenous person in Australia.
No, there are struggles. There are struggles. We don't want to bury that, but they're not the same.
They don't. I don't think you can pretend for a moment, sir, that they are in any way equivalent. Because while it is true, Australia, you go back, particularly like 100 years or so, had a history of being anti-Asian. It never had a policy of, for example, taking Asian children from their parents and then raising them as if they were white. That's not a thing that ever happened. And I found that sort of equivalency sort of
it's important to identify false equivalency arguments. You know, these things are important to recognize and say, I understand your passion and love, and you do have problems, but it's not this. It's not entirely the same thing. You're empathizing, which is good, but empathy does not equal the same. It has the same emotion, but it doesn't have the same history and problems that you might think they do. But saying that, yeah, the false equivalency, I actually understand, because this person, your friend, is empathizes with the argument and person. So yeah, I get it, but I'm not saying, yeah, what wrong.
Alex, it's your turn.
Yes,
most definitely. What would you like to discuss?
Right, I want to now. Yes, here's some news. Let me give you some news. News time. News. Last time, this is a follow up. This is a follow up. You might remember me saying that Salvador Mundi, aka the Leonardo da Vinci painting, that was sold for a lot of money, the most expensive painting ever sold in Sotheby's. Okay, it went missing. Do you remember that?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what happened was a Saudi prince bought the painting and said that he was going to put it on display, you know, in the Louvre. The Louvre said, "Can we hire it?" And he said, "Yeah, sure. That can happen." And then he and the painting disappeared. And everyone went, "Ooh, the most expensive painting in the world has disappeared."
That's right. Yes, I remember you saying this.
Well, we found it. Where is it?
Where was it?
The prince still has it. It's in his yacht.
Okay.
So Leonardo da Vinci's most expensive painting in the world, Salvador Mundi, was bought by a Saudi prince, and it's on his super yacht now.
Okay.
So yeah.
Hope it doesn't sink.
So
well, I'm glad the painting has turned.
Yeah, but it's one of those moments where you go, some people have got a lot of money. Do you remember how much it cost?
No, I don't.
$225 million. I'm quite sure. No, I'm wrong. Sorry. My mistake. $450 million.
All right. That's completely different.
Yes, that's fine then. You know how some people, decide to spend $500 million on a painting and then put it on their super yacht. I did that last weekend. Some people have got so much. Usually I don't care. Steve. I go, okay, someone's really rich. Okay, whatever. And then this happens, and I go, all right, sure. It's their artwork. I guess they can do whatever the hell they want with it.
Yeah,
I'm just left going, all right.
Yeah.
So I think that, I didn't say that much about this particular issue because there's not much to say about it other than, all right, sure. But it leads an interesting point towards. By the way, this is the ship episode. We're going to be talking about ships on my end. Right. The other point that I wanted to make was, let's see. Yeah, there is a gigantic cruise ship in Venice. I think it's there at the moment. I'm not quite sure. But anyway, people were complaining about this gigantic cruise ship in Venice. Banksy got on board. Banksy got on board and said, check this out. I don't have much to say. I'm like, yeah, you don't have much. Yeah, fair enough, Inia. So
yeah. I gotta say, I feel exactly the same. You know, it's just look. I suppose you don't want to get too self-righteous.
No, I definitely don't want to get too self-righteous, especially seeing as I buy stupid things all the time. So
well, I think it's also important to remember that, you know, living in, you know, basically being privileged people in, you know, in first world, yeah, you know, drinking nice beer, or, you know, my cool laptop, and, you know, yeah, to somebody else, I am the equivalent of that sort of money on a
that is very true. That is very true. I can't help but say that, you know, at the same time we are privileged people.
Yeah,
it's just weird.
I would hope.
Yeah, go on.
I would sincerely hope if I had that level of disposable income, I would do more with it than
yeah.
There's something about it that just sort of sticks in my throat as being immoral and disgusting.
Yeah, there's something immoral about it, but I don't really know what. It's just,
Well, you know.
So
yes,
I tell you what, let's on the same subject. Let's talk about another giant boat. Okay.
Yes.
It was in Venice. It was in Venice. It was this gigantic cruise ship. Now, I didn't pay any attention to this for a long time. Banksy did a giant painting about it, saying, look at this gigantic thing in the middle of little Venice. It looks disgusting. Look at this. So Banksy said, look at it. Look at it. And I'm going, yeah,
the finest wines available to humanity. We want them here, and we want them now.
Polar Knights, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. Yeah, so I didn't pay much attention about this because of this, close to the same reasons that, you know, we were discussing. We're going, okay, sure, people have money, people have big boats. I'm trying, but then this happened. So we've got a giant cruise ship just wedging through Venice. It just cannot stop, and it's going crush, 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 and then makes a whole heap of terrible damage to these other boats and things like that. And this is a completely different subject, which is, yeah, some lady is not happy about it. So it seems like a completely different subject, I know, but at that point I had to pay attention because it's just, you don't need giant cruise ships. You don't. I know I promised you, and you promised as well, that we wouldn't get on our high horses, but I'm going to get on a high horse for just a second and say, there's a lot of money that's just being spunked onto gigantic cruise ships, and I'm going, no one needs this. Saying that, though, I mean, I don't know, I guess I wasn't there. I don't have that much money to spend. If I did, would I spend it on this? I don't know. Have you gone on a cruise ship? Please take.
No.
Do you want to? Do you want to? And I'm honestly asking this.
No.
Why don't you want to? For the similar reasons that we're talking about, or because it doesn't appeal to you?
No, the reason I don't want to do it is because if I'm going to travel on my holiday, what I like is experiencing different cultures, and seeing interesting architectures and way of life. I don't feel like I will learn anything on a cruise ship that I couldn't learn from running down to the local RSL and just getting hammered and playing the pokies.
Very, very true. Yeah. So when you see this cultural clash...
There's a question there from Polar Knights, and I know we're something, but I like to be reactive to our audience.
Oh yes, sorry.
Just giving us a follow. What oil do you use to get your bed to look so shiny?
Which
assume
one
he's
is that
talking
directed
to you.
to? If it's directed to me, the answer is none. I have. It's just a natural shape. You don't want to. Damn typos.
If it was yes, well, I don't use. I assume it's to you. Your beard is more mighty than mine.
The mighty beard.
It's true.
Yeah, I'm gonna quickly go to right. Okay, let me have a look at this properly. If I had a stupid amount of money, of course I have $450 million painting outside my bed. Oh yeah. I completely agree with you that, I would prefer to be in Venice, looking around, going to the cafes, going to the museums, going to the galleries, going on tours, rather than being on a cruise ship or even looking at a gigantic cruise ship. It's only when this is directly shown to me that the grotesqueness of this money splurging is apparent to me. And you don't want to go on a cruise ship because it's a crime against nature. It provides such waste. Yeah, it does also provide a lot of waste. There's a lot of fuel being burned just making it go. Forget about the raw materials. Yeah, it really does, doesn't it? There's a lot of people that do not know what to do with so much money. So let's just make a palace on the water and invite people to turn up and gamble and drink and
if all you want to do is laze around by the water, eat, like you can, I can do that 90 minutes away. I don't need to hop on a cruise ship and run around the world.
Yeah,
I can do it in a 15-minute walk away in Southbank if I particularly want, I suppose.
Yeah, but hey, you forget the appeal. You can also be trapped on the water, Steve. You can be trapped on the water and gamble as well. Yeah. We missed your reaction to it. I was just saying you can be trapped on the water while being on the water and also drink and actually, no, you can drink. You like how the lords in the UK did spend all their money to build awesome manors filled with art.
I can understand that.
Yeah, I can kind of understand that as well. But
I guess so. Yeah.
So I'm one to also say that I have a double standard in this discussion. I really do, and you mention it as well. Let's not get on our moral high horse, because I know there's going to be a moment in which we're going to go, yeah, I did that. I like my whiskeys, I like my wines, etc. I don't spend money on wines and whiskey. I do spend money on wine, but I spend it on cheap wine. But there's some people who can't even do that. So a house can't be a piece of art. True. A house can be a work of art. Right. Okay.
I think it can. I think an architect definitely feel that a house can be a piece of art.
Sure. Architecture most definitely can do that. We haven't discussed architecture yet on this show. Maybe we will one day.
We've never done that. Maybe.
We might. Anyway, that's what I wanted to talk about with super yachts and cruises and Venice.
Yeah, cool. Well, friend Alex, I think we've been chatting for quite a while.
Yeah, it's been 1 hour and 50 minutes. So that was a good. You seem tired, my friend. So
I am very tired. Yeah. It's 1:30, and it's time for sleep.
It's time for sleep. But thank you for joining us, and thank you guys for stopping by and seeing us. Make sure you come back here possibly next week. Will you be around next week, Steve?
Yeah, I should be.
Yeah, same Smart Arts time, same Smart Arts channel. We're banning cruise boats to enter ports. I can't help but be happy about that.